Good afternoon. Welcome to the Meredith Select Board Workshop of November 3rd, 2014 at the Meredith Community Center. At this time, I will introduce the board members. Hillary Seeger,
Good afternoon.
Luke Hahn,
Good afternoon.
Nathan Toor,
Good afternoon.
Vice Chair Peter Brothers.
Good afternoon, everyone.
I am Carla Horn, Chairman. Town Manager Phil Warren,
Good afternoon.
and Recording Clerk Karen Landry. We have one item on the workshop agenda for this afternoon, W14-27, 2015 budget presentation. Phil.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You either have in front of you or have picked up by now at the office the 2015 budget books. My intention here tonight, as has been in the past years, is not to make this a budget workshop, but to give you a brief overview.
No, I just did.
To give you a brief overview as to how our budget looks for 2015. As you may remember, the message and the discussion that we had on the budget spent a lot of time and emphasis on the fact that our non-recurring sources of funding, i.e. fund balance, have been impacted in the past, and that any budget that's assembled would have to be respective of that. If you remember the same budget message that bear with me 1 second, I want to touch on a couple of the items on it. That same budget message, of course, was relayed to staff, and in brief, that budget message, which you received back in September, stated that our 2014 budget resulted in an increase of the amount to be raised by taxation of about $192,000, which applied also a $1 million in available fund balance to it. That budget, of course, as the other ones, were neither a level service budget or a level funded budget. But when we got to the considerations, we stated we would maintain the current service levels as much as possible. No new positions and no reclassifications. Any vacancies or separations would be analyzed on a case-by-case basis. They would not be filled automatically. No new programs or services and no further reduction in services. We'd analyze our equipment purchases and consider purchases for end-of-life equipment, and we would continue funding the capital improvement program. And the program areas that we stated would need consideration for this budget would include completion of the feasibility study for the Public Works facility, which was funded at town meeting. Continued consideration for capital improvements that have been deferred, such as equipment replacements, road and street improvement projects. And the considerable effort is given in the budget process to retain current service levels. Well, I can tell you that from my meetings with the department heads and through assembling this budget, that message was relayed loud and clear. When you look at the summary of the 2014 budget and our 2015 proposed budget, the key here is you will see that the percent variance in the budget is 1.657%, and that is a total of $188,000 approximately. That is the town manager budget, and the way this works, as a refresher, is that the budget message is delivered to the department heads. After the board talks about it, the department heads assemble a budget, they meet with me, and then I make a recommendation based on that budget. Now I will tell you, as you heard, the increase in the town manager's budget this year is 1.657%, or approximately $188,000. The department requests that came in, the increase was $197,598.17. So you can see that there is not a gross difference between the two. So to a department, the message was understood and received, and budgets were submitted back to my office in that fashion. Most of the adjustments that were made between the department budgets and the town manager's budgets were based on information that department heads may or may not have, and that was relative to energy costs and relative to some year-to-date levels and expenditures where we found out that we could reduce them while maintaining current service levels, and that came out through the meeting process. Just briefly, the main items that we'd like to talk about. There, as I said, the general fund budgets, which do not include water and sewer, that total would increase by $188,000. But I wanted to explain to you that there's some netting that went on there. Two budgets, executive administration, municipal administration, which cover a whole myriad of things, as you're aware. Those budgets did go up, but then when you go into the town clerks, that budget went down, and you'll notice that there are other budgets as you go through that have gone down and some that have gone up. And I will say that the water and sewer budgets, the sewer budget is the one you're seeing the biggest increase in. That's a $69,000 increase, and the bulk of that's related to the Winnipesaukee River Basin program. As you know, we pay what we're being assessed. Other than that, included in this budget is the recommendation of the capital improvement program, which is to place money in the available trust funds in the amount of $380,000. And also included in there is $45,500 to go into the cable franchise special revenue fund, which will allow us to meet the current appropriation, which we'll talk about in the meeting for LRPA in 2015, and to proceed with replacement of equipment here, as we had planned. Other than that, there isn't a lot at this time that I'm prepared to talk about, because it is, as I said, it's on a higher level at this point. But the key I want to get across is that we have the ability, or we're very close to having the ability, as we assemble this budget, to do it in such a fashion that we can fund it without using fund balance. And that was the main goal here. And I'm confident that we will be able to do that.
Madam Chairman?
Peter?
Just a question, if maybe Phil could give us a little bit of an update. That obviously is the operating side, along with some of our other outside regional associations, capital improvement projects, etc. But also, as part of our conversation in early October, we talked about the revenue side. If there was any ways to do that, and I think you've had some conversations with the department heads on that too. I was wondering if you could, shall we say, give us an update of that conversation.
Sure. On the revenue side, the good news, bad news hasn't changed. The good news is the revenues, as we see them coming in from the state, are level. The bad news is the revenues, as we see them coming in from the state, are level. We did see approximately a $20,000 increase in our rooms and meals taxes this year. For areas of growth, we look at it as we evolve through the budget process to see if there are any areas of growth for revenue. And when I say areas of growth, I will tell you that that's a very conservative look. When we did this, the first one that pops up is one of our revenue centers, is this building, the community center. It's very clear that we would price ourselves out of the market if we made any increases or upward adjustments to the use permits for this building, attendance at camp, swim lessons, etc. And when we look at other departments, some of the areas that pop out is, one is we do not at present charge a fee for propane gas permits, which have been required since 2011, which are also a burden on the community development department and the fire department. I expect that early 2015, you'll have a presentation from both community development and the fire department on the gas permitting program and a fee schedule, which we will base on our information from other communities. One of the discussions on revenue that we had a while back was our special use fees as they relate to Motorcycle Week. It's my intention to have a proposal to you relative to those fees for the special use permits that we issue, the change of use permits, and that would be for Motorcycle Week only. And it's also my intention that you will have a presentation in the not-too-distant future on the police detail rate. And that's a two-part discussion, because the first part is, of course, the salary, the hourly rate that's paid to the police officer when he or she works the detail. But there's also an administrative piece that the town collects, which compensates the town for that portion of that work that would apply towards workers' compensation what's commonly known as FICA, Medicare, and the administrative piece of handling, billing, and managing that employee. So we expect to have data from surrounding communities and a proposal to this board on that. On the macro sense, are there any, let's say, large revenue sources that we can see? At this time, I would say no. Again, our second largest, well, it's actually our largest, but in terms of the different fees, is the solid waste operation. And again, if we were to alter those fees in an upward fashion, we would price ourselves out of the market. And solid waste is a double-edged sword, as you know, because not only do you price yourself out of the market, you invite people to use inventive means to dispose of items that become ineffective, cost ineffective to dispose at your transfer station.
Got it.
Madam Chair?
Hillary?
Bill, I have just one question that I'd like you to address, if you don't mind. Could you please let us know last year the percentage of the town budget and the percentage of the school budget that contributed to, you know what I mean? Which percentage of which contributed to the tax rate?
You know what?
We have that available.
You're gonna ask me for that, the one form I'm probably gonna have to dig for, because I was not prepared to talk about that tonight, but.
I'm sorry.
You want to know the percentage of the town in the tax rate?
Yeah.
It's about 29%.
I have to find the tax rate
The
reconciliation.
town is about 29% and the rest of it's school?
No, because you got a school state tax, and you have then the
County.
school, and then you have the county. There's 4.
Okay, that's what I was trying to just get that breakdown.
If you, no, I don't have it.
I had it at our last meeting.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't, it's probably on a shared drive, I don't have it. I mean, if I dig for about 15 minutes, I can find it, but I can pull it up forward to have ready for tonight.
That's okay.
Other comments?
If I could, Madam Chair, the one comment I'd like to make, as I let off earlier, I said that the budget message was that, to the departments, it was that we had to put together a budget that was still going to meet our needs, that was going to meet those goals, but we all knew that that unexpended fund balance amount it's not available as it has been in the past. And 201, those budgets were submitted consistent with that, and I thank the department heads for doing that. It sure makes my life a lot easier, and it sure makes the whole process go so much more smoothly. And I'd also like to thank Brenda and the Administrative Services Department for putting these together. This is no small task, getting what I submit, and I admittedly am not the best at transferring columns over when I submit budgets down there. But Brenda takes the whole thing, puts it in a book, and gives you a bottom line number that's exact to the penny. And I thank her and her staff for that. A little on process, too. As you know, you'll be having the budget meetings the first week of December, 3 budget meetings, workshops, excuse me, they'll be held in the annex. At that time, we will go into the budgets line by line. I would ask in advance if anyone has any specific items that you think need more attention, that you let me know, and we will make sure we have the information ready. And as it relates to the library budget, it's my understanding that the library will be at your workshop on November 17th to present their budget.
Madam Chair, may I ask Philip, just a quick add-on to that.
Go ahead, Nick.
Is there a situation where we are taking on a person for the library and cleaning and helping out there? Has that been dissolved? That was up once upon a time.
I had a conversation with Aaron, and it appears that the position of the library is that the way it works today is working for them, where they actually have the employee that does the cleaning, etc., and the library director, supported by the library board of trustees, feels that having the library director perform those actions is the best way to go. So there will be no proposal in this budget, or let me back up, there is no proposal in this budget to combine those library services with buildings and grounds at this point.
On that note, Phil, so where are we at with the memo of understanding? Are we sort of just dropping that, or are we going to redo
Well,
a different version, or?
you had asked me to meet with Aaron, and we discussed these pieces, but the personnel piece is still out there, and it's my understanding that the library is researching their options there, and they're considering having their own personnel policy. As I said before, that's the one sticking point for me. We can get past the other items, but I have a grave concern, and that was, some of those concerns were supported by our Labor Council, that something needs to be addressed there. That hasn't been done yet, but I'm waiting to hear back from the library and the personnel piece. When I met with Aaron, it was we agreed that something's got to be done one way or another there. So I think that once the library decides what tack they want to take, yes, we could rewrite that MOU at that point.
Other comments? Peter?
I just want to say welcome to the 2015 budget. And as Phil had indicated, there's a lot of people who have been working on this for quite some time, and we do appreciate their efforts. And from what I can see, at least on a preliminary basis, it looks like there's been a lot of conversation that in the past maybe has been a little bit more difficult, but it looks like this is going to make that process easier for us and them in the long haul. So I do appreciate the effort that Phil and the departments have put into the first round here before we get into our deliberations. So thank you, Phil, and staff.
Thanks, Peter. Phil, do you have, for the public's knowledge, do you have the exact dates of our budget?
Yep.
Workshops?
I do. Actually, pulling the schedule up right. Yes, the budget meetings will be December 8th, 9th, and 10th, 4 p.m. at the Annex.
Thanks, Phil.
And we probably will be discussing the budget, which we'll announce through agenda, workshops, but then in 2015, you actually have the budget hearing is scheduled for February 2nd.
Thanks, Phil.
Yeah.
Would anyone from the public like to briefly speak on our budget presentation, such that it was at this point? Just to give you the opportunity. If not, I will.
Are we in the workshop or are we in the
Workshop. Okay, at this time, I will adjourn the workshop for 10 minutes and we'll come back for the regular meeting. Thank you. Good evening, welcome to the Meredith Select Board meeting, regular meeting of November 3rd in at the Meredith Community Center. At this time, please stand and join Peter Brothers for the Pledge of Allegiance.
All join me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all.
Thanks, Peter. Okay, roll call. Hillary, Seeger.
Madam Chairman, if you will, we did get a revised set here. Could you just be kind enough to give us the area where those changes were made? Because I think most of us had read the prior set, just where the actual changes make reference to the page.
Sure, page 5 on the regular minutes. Paragraph starting with New Hampshire Bureau of Emergency Communications would be the third paragraph down, and the fourth paragraph after that. There was additional information from the minutes put into both of those paragraphs.
And there was one other change on
And then at the bottom, Nate pointed out the vote 411 should be 410. Any other changes or corrections? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Town Manager's Report. Phil Warren.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have received, just so you're aware, I have received the annual budget request for outside agencies from American Legion Post 33, and that is in the amount of $3,000, which it was prior. It came from the Sam Blake at the Legion. Herb Vadney stopped in to inform me that he had passed that on to folks at the Legion. So whoever, Herb, member of the board, who got this from me, thank you very much. We're going to include it in your outside agency books, and I will send you a copy of it. As I said, it's level funding, it's pretty straightforward. The next item I have is that, as you know, we send items to what we refer to internally as the White Farm. That is the state surplus auction. And part of the charge this year, especially in Public Works, knowing that we're considering an update there, the directive was given to get rid of the junk. And we did have a lot of old items. Well, I'm pleased to announce that of the items that we disposed of, we received a check for $15,156. I'll just run through to give you a little flavor of it. We had some old radiators that for scrap we wouldn't have gotten much for. We got $100 for them. A couple of trash pumps, we want $100 and $175. A couple of plate compactors, we got over $425 for the two of them. Pavement saw we haven't used and doesn't run, $250. A riding mower that didn't run, $150. A tow-behind mower that the sewer department had prior that didn't run, $175. The chipper that we just replaced, the old chipper, we got $4,250 for it. Some old snow plows, we got about $200 for those. Stainless steel sanders, these are pickup truck sanders. We got about $1,500 for two of those. Two recycling trailers that we've had since 1988 that we don't use anymore. You probably remember seeing them, they had partitions in them.
Yep.
We got $2,250 for one of them and $1,750 for the other. 2010 Ford Crown Vic in wonderful shape after its life as a police vehicle and the severe service it receives of $1,900, and for a total again of $15,156.25. It was actually $15,625, but we pay the state of New Hampshire 3%, and it's well worth it. We take the items down there, they dispose of them. So that's where we are with the auction.
Some revenue for Peter.
Yeah.
The New Hampshire Municipal Association meeting is next week. We have a piece of correspondence here. If anybody would like to attend the annual meeting that's held in conjunction with the New Hampshire Municipal Association Annual Conference, we can notify them as to who would have, let's say, the town of Meredith's proxy vote. In the past, I have attended it. I will not be able to attend that meeting this year. The agenda is the overview of the New Hampshire Municipal Association activities. They vote in the Board of Directors, they schedule Board of Director meetings, and any other business that is to come before the board. If the board would like to send a proxy vote, please let me know, and I would be more than happy to notify the New Hampshire Municipal Association.
Madam Chairman, if I could ask Phil, typically, I think you as town manager, I believe, have attended as long as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the proxy vote is concerned, are there any specific issues that would warrant that, or need some consideration?
What happens here is, in this meeting, it's generally the legislative process that's discussed. We had a discussion on the legislative items that New Hampshire Municipal Association was putting forth, and at that time, the board, in my opinion, didn't have any objection to that agenda. That would be the same agenda that will be put forth. There are no bylaw changes at this point. There are no, as I said, the agenda is the Board of Directors, legislative forecasts, and the scheduled meetings. And I see the nominating committee has nominated following individuals to the board of directors. It's pretty straightforward. Many of them are incumbents. So would there be any item that I would think that it would be vital that we would need to make a vote one way or another? I would say no at this point.
Follow-up, Madam Chairman. Do we need to provide any authorization for Phil to send the proxy?
Well, what this would be is, at the annual meeting, we have one vote at the meeting. The
Right.
voting delegates don't have to be determined ahead of time, but should be one person from municipality attending the meeting. The voting card will be issued in the following priority determined by the New Hampshire Municipal Association. The mayor, the chair of the board of selectmen, or the mayor, the vice chair, or the council vice chair, or selectman, alderman, councilor, or city or town manager administrative assistant. In the past, I've attended under what would be number 4 here.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, appreciate it.
So I would say that we'll just gather, because I will get an update, of course, on what goes on.
Thank you.
Thank you. I received a letter from the Lakes Region Tour Scenic Byway Committees, and this is from Lakes Region Lakes Region Planning Commission. Too many Lakes Region committees tonight. Lakes Region Planning Commission, and they are looking for, they actually addressed it to me, but they are looking for me to make an appointment to the Lakes Region Scenic Byway Advisory Subcommittee. I thought that I would run this by the board. At present, John Edgar serves on what's called the Scenic Byway Working Group and the Transportation Technical Advisory Committee to Lakes Region Planning Commission, and they stated in their letter that ideal candidates are existing members of the Scenic Byway Working Group or Transportation Technical Advisory Committee members, or anyone who has interest in resources preservation and economic development. I would recommend that we appoint John Edgar to this committee, and again, I'm bouncing this off the board because it seems like it's more of a board matter and less of a town manager matter.
Right.
So if the board would like to make a motion to appoint John Edgar, I would support it.
I'll make a motion to appoint John Edgar as the representative to this, pardon me?
Lakes Region Scenic Byway Advisory Subcommittee.
Lakes Region Scenic Byway Advisory Subcommittee.
Thank you.
You'll remember that tomorrow morning, I'm sure.
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Second, excuse me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Phil.
John Edgar, know we're doing this?
He will tomorrow.
And
It's called job description.
as always, since it got cold, we need oil at the transfer station. Lou, not to let you down, if you want to register your boat early, you can do it at the town hall. And tomorrow is election day from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. here at the Meredith Community Center. And that's all I have.
And we should have about 5,000 voters come in and vote. Okay, next item is, let's see, visitors and residents' comments. Do we have any? Huh?
Philip Paul, resident here of Meredith, 25 Meadow Road. I'm here to speak in regards to the request for funding for Lakes Region Public Access Television. I would encourage the board to continue that funding. I've been a producer for that organization for the last 12 years. I have probably produced close to 600 different shows for that. I think it's a valuable asset to the community and to the area, and I would encourage you to continue support so that organization can continue to operate on behalf of this town and the other towns in the surrounding areas.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, since we brought this up, would you like to dispose of this item at this time and move it ahead in the agenda?
Sounds like a good idea.
You
That
had,
being said, 14-34.
Yep.
The LRPA TV request for
I
funding.
think we still had some other visitors' comments.
I too wanted to speak in favor of supporting this motion. The funds we get come from the cable franchise fee anyways, and so we've always used that money to fund LRPA. They provide a valuable service. The children's auction is one thing that is just so valuable to all of us. For Gut Lunch, they give us a great donation this year. We're going to apply for another one next year, and they provide a valuable service. And I think it's important that we maintain that service. Thanks.
And that was,
That was covered under both visitors. Next item. I think.
phew.
Worry for a minute.
We're trying to leave visitors.
Okay, back to 14-34. First off, are there any other comments? Okay, Phil.
Thank you. We have received a request from Lakes Region Public Access Television to fund the full amount, which was $17,991.75. As I informed you in the past, we had appropriated that full amount of money along with another sum of money so that we could do some upgrades here of our equipment. I am pleased to say that the LRPA board met this Saturday, and they aggressively addressed the funding concerns that have been put forth. The board recognized that the funding model will need to be addressed aggressively, and including other communities who receive LRPA content but don't fund the station. I am of the opinion that if the board continues on this tack, that LRPA will continue to grow and flourish, hopefully. And I would strongly recommend that the board support the funding of LRPA TV for fiscal year 2014 at the amount of $17,991.75.
Can you repeat that number?
$17,991.75. The only piece that I would, Denise is here tonight, the agreement, Denise, I just need to work with you on it only because there's a few date changes, that's all, and a couple items. I'll send that forth. But we can work those out. I know that Lakes Region Public Access is in a tight spot with the funding, so I would recommend that the board make that motion, and we'll process that this week so the check gets out. And then we will go through the agreement over the next couple of weeks.
Can I have a motion?
Sure. Madam Chair,
Peter?
I would like to make the motion that we fund the LRPA TV request for funding in the amount, for 2014, in the amount of $17,991.75.
A second?
Second.
Further discussion or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Back to select board comments. Any?
Depends if you want to hear them. I hate to take up time, but as you see, I have the sort of self-appointed knight errant for highway issues. And one that came up with a gentleman on it's not Easy Shore Road, it's the other one there, the 11 Park Road, who sent me an email complaining that the water from the repaved road was washing out his driveway and house. It's on.
It's on.
I drove out there, I took a look, I had an idea based on, looking at his neighbor's lot, which had a small sort of swale-like ditch apparently containing the water. I spoke to Phil about it. Phil spoke to, then I called the fellow up and suggested that he do that. He said that the previous owner had been told by the town that he couldn't do that. I checked back with Phil, Phil checked with Mike, word came back, no problem. I told the fellow, no problem. I haven't heard from him since. Then I decided to, on the basis of Mr. Abear's memo, I decided to go out and drive around a bit in Chemung.
and I think you've seen the memo I wrote. I think we really need to pay a little more attention to the complaints out there, and I was going to suggest that maybe, my memo suggests that maybe what we ought to do is get our newly hired gravel road engineers involved, because I don't think you're going to persuade anyone that you're doing everything right unless you have, you have the expert present, and you take a little tour and see what they're complaining about and let the expert comment on it. They also made some suggestions as to how I thought we could avoid pulling down stone walls. And I also pointed out some of the interesting aspects of the scenic road emergency tree removal, which the statute doesn't really work very well. If you've got a tree that's fallen down and is blocking the scenic road, and it's a traffic hazard, the statute purports, well, it doesn't purport, the statute says you've got to get written permission of the selectmen to remove it. This is ridiculous. I mean, you're in the middle of an ice storm or a snowstorm or something like that, you're not going to collect written permission from the selectmen. So I think we ought, if the tree is sort of dangling up there, you could go around and collect permission. But I think we ought to sort of have a general rule that regardless of what the statute says, that the town manager and the director of the Department of Public Works have the right to remove dangerous trees on scenic roads without, and can get our permission afterward, after the fact. There's another problem, and that is I found a provision that says that we could have responsibility for walls that fall down or are pulled down. And I only saw one place in which that had happened. I was told that it happened something like 5 years ago, and that at that time the property owner had complained to the then town manager and never heard another thing. I think that we probably ought to reopen that case and deal with it. It struck me that a two-man crew or three-man crew from the Department of Public Works could probably restore the fallen down portion of the wall in at least good condition as the rest of the wall. And that's how I would deal with it, but I leave it to the town manager to make his own suggestion.
Excellent.
All right, here we go. Oh, and the 3 and 25 committee will meet Thursday. And I am anticipating here at 3 o'clock in the community center, and I am very hopeful that we will make some progress. When the schedule of select board meetings was put out the other day, the tentatively scheduled January 25th, is it?
6th.
26th, tentatively scheduled January 26th meeting that we would have, assuming that the 3 and 25 committee comes up with a program for approval, that we would present it to the select board at a public hearing on January 26th. So mark your calendars or your smartphones or whatever. Done.
Any other selectmen's comments? New business, 14-33, public hearing for Lopes lot restoration. Take a motion to open the public hearing.
I'd read the hearing notice first. And
Yep.
I'll
Okay.
back it because I can't get it taped. Thank you. Notice of public hearing to Meredith Select Board. The Select Board will conduct a public hearing to receive input on a request by Jeffrey and Diane Lopes to restore and voluntarily merge lots located at Lockheed Shores Road and Western Lane, tax map S-6, Lot 9. The hearing will be held during the Select Board meeting on November 3rd, 2014, which begins at 4:15 p.m. at the Meredith Community Center, 1 Circle Drive, Meredith, New Hampshire. Questions or comments may be directed to Philip L. Warren Jr., Town Manager, 41 Main Street, Meredith, New Hampshire.
Now I can take a motion.
I move we open the hearing.
Second,
So moved.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I can't get my attack. I know. Members of the board and the public, this was a request of Jeffrey and Diane Lopes. Thanks, Peter. They are the owners of tax map S-6 Lot 9 They requested that the town restore tax map S-6 Lot 9 to its pre-merger two-lot status pursuant to RSA 674:39, small double A, which you know is the controlling statute for lot restoration. And the keys to that, of course, is the request has to be submitted by December 31st, 2016. No owner in the chain of title has voluntarily merged the lots, and there's no evidence on file by the town to the contrary. The file reviewed showed that there was no evidence of a voluntary merger that would prevent the owner in this case from requesting lot restoration under the applicable statute. When you had the staff report done, there was a file review that goes back to 1963 that shows when the subdivision was created and that the town merged those two lots, Lot 1E and 2E, back in 1979. It's been confirmed, as I said, that the lots were merged. There have been improvements made to Lot 9. A plot plan was submitted, and the plan indicates that all the improvements are located on one lot. They do not go across the line. And as we have done in the past, we accept the representation of the applicant, provided that the board's decision makes clear that the board's reliance on information submitted by the applicant. We sent a mailing list out to the abutters, and if you recall, we received, and it has been entered into the record, it was a objection to this lot merger, and it's a little lengthy, but if the board would bear with me, I'd like to read it into the record. It is from Maurice Stauffer, who states he is a property owner and part-time resident of Lockheed Shores Road, Meredith, since 1980. He wanted to register his opposition. It's public policy to encourage small lots and big houses, especially on the shorefront. Back in the 50s and 60s, when these lots were laid out, the developers encouraged many buyers to buy double lots, because even then they knew that most of the lots were undersized. A second lot will mean another house and another septic system extremely close to Lake Winnipesaukee Fish Cove. If these lots are split, both lots will be far below today's minimum lot size. Today we would require 150 feet of frontage for each lot. They won't have that. The map shows 96 feet per lot. My experience with nearby lots on Lockheed Shores suggests that those frontage measures were wiggly and the actual frontage could be much less. Next, the town requires structures to be set back 20 feet from property lines. If the lot is split, how far will the existing house be from the new property line? Is there a development plan available that can be evaluated? Fish Cove is already overdeveloped, and there are numerous undeveloped lots already approved sitting down the cove at Stone Dam Circle. We don't need more overcrowding and more boats in Fish Cove. We already have a major milfoil infestation, and another septic system and active waterfront property could only add to the nutrients leaching into the cove. We don't need more houses feeding the milfoil. Agreed? If this request is approved, there could be a flood of requests from other owners with undersized merged double lots. Where will it stop? Lockheed Shores already has several cottages with marginal septic systems. I hope the Select Board considers this matter carefully and denies this request. Denial is in the best interest of the town and the other Fish Cove property owners. Thank you, Maurice Stauffer, 49 Lockheed Shores Road. I will tell you that we also bounced this off of council, and we checked with the assessing records, which shows that the camp that's on that property was constructed in 1965, which predates the adoption of zoning in 1971. And we were informed by council, as we have been informed in the past. This was our attorney's response. As much as I sympathize with the concerns expressed by Mr. Stauffer, the way the state legislature has written RSA 674:39-a, the town has no discretion as to whether the request should be granted. Instead, the statutory mandate is that the town must restore the lots to their original boundaries unless there is convincing evidence that the owner or prior owner has regarded said lots as merger, quoted from the law. Therefore, there must be some overt act of use of the two lots as one, otherwise the restoration must be granted. Please let us know if there are any further questions. Signed by Walter Mitchell, the town's attorney. So as you can see, and as we've stated in the other ones, there is no, unfortunately, discretion that is afforded on the board's part, except that if there's evidence that the properties were used as one, which we do not have. Thank you.
Comments from the board?
You have to make comments first from the public.
Anyone from the public like to speak first? Comments from the board?
I'll speak. Madam Chairman. I had asked Phil to check to see whether or not it was whether or not the house had been located so close to the property line that the house would be treated, that it would be treated as one lot. And what I was told was that there was no zoning, and apparently, you could kind of put the house wherever you wanted on your lot. So it seems to me that the way this statute is written, as Phil has said, we simply have no choice here. We have no discretion. We have to grant the splitting of the lots.
Madam Chair,
No?
just as a point of clarification, by splitting the lots, and we note that in both the motion and the document filed, it does not provide any relief from anything that's existing today.
And I suppose we would use the word unmerged versus split, because it wouldn't be split 50-50 down the middle, right?
Correct, yes, unmerged.
Unmerged, demerged.
Other comments?
Yeah. And just for the record, this is our third request, I think, since the law was changed, and as part of the motion and the language in that, I think that the point that Phil made in terms of that restoration of lots to pre-merger status shall not be deemed to cure any nonconformity with existing local land use or its future development is still subject to all applicable zoning requirements, among other conditions. So, unfortunately, I think we're in a situation based on council and everything else. I mean, some of the comments may be perfectly logical, but the fact of the matter is there's no legal basis for us to deny the request, but that doesn't give them any rights to use that other lot unless it's subject to current regulatory and zoning ordinances. So it would still have to pass the smell test if there was any request that came in and meet today's requirements. So some of the facts about today's setbacks, lot sizes, minimum, all those types of things are in fact and will in fact be issues if the applicant came forward at some future point and wanted to do something with that unmerged lot.
Madam Chairman, I think I would like to correct something that you said, Peter, and that is, it is a lot of record, and as a lot of record, it does not have to meet the lot size requirements for new lots. It may have to meet setback requirements and that sort of thing, but it is a lot of record and doesn't have to meet the lot size requirement.
I defer to Lou, who's been on the planning board a lot longer than I.
And to the answer the question of when will it stop, that would be December 31st, 2016.
Yep.
Other comments?
Thank you, Lou.
But it is our law. We should...
Pardon?
No, I just said it is our law. We're here. So I guess I don't think it matters, but...
Thank you for being here.
It does matter in your future.
No, I know, but...
You want a motion? Unless you have other comments. Actually, we need a motion to close the hearing.
Close the hearing.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if there are no comments, I move that we close the hearing.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Hearing closed. I can now entertain a motion to unmerge the said lot.
Now comes
I will
over.
read the text of the motion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I move that Jeffrey and Diane Lopes, owners of tax map S6 Lot 9, have requested tax map S6 Lot 9 be restored to pre-merger status in accordance with New Hampshire RSA 674:39-LA. The owners make this request at their own risk, and Jeffrey and Diane Lopes have submitted a plot plan indicating the location of improvements on tax map S6 Lot 9, indicating that the improvements are located on subdivision Lot 1E, The Town of Meredith makes no warranty as to the accuracy of the information submitted, nor has the Town of Meredith caused any independent verification as to the location of improvements to tax map S6 Lot 9, and the Board of Selectmen hereby restores former subdivision lots numbers 1E and 2E to their pre-merger status as separate lots, and restoration of lots to pre-merger status will affect property assessments and therefore property taxes, and restoration of lots to pre-merger status shall not be deemed to cure any nonconformity with existing land use ordinances. Future development is subject to applicable zoning requirements, and this decision of the Board of Selectmen may be appealed in accordance with the provision of New Hampshire RSA 676, and zoning and tax maps shall be updated to identify the pre-merger boundaries of said lots, and this notice of lot restoration shall be provided to the owner and recorded at the Belknap County Registry of Deeds.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well done, Lou.
Good job.
I still think you should have done it in one breath.
If I played a clarinet.
Okay, old business. 14-35, Department of Public Works Facility Committee applications.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In your packet, you have 2 applications that were submitted and a request from another person that wants to submit one and was unable to do so because he is on vacation in North Carolina and his iPad doesn't allow him to download the application. I've also gotten a couple of phone calls of people that would like to submit applications. I would respectfully request that the board delay this until the November 17th meeting, and we will make the November 17th meeting the drop dead date for taking action.
I would move that.
I would agree with that.
So we can use this as a...
And so you will also include Mr. Billings on there as well, because we don't have one from him in the packet.
Yes, you actually have an email from him that stated that he would be the representative of the Energy Committee. It's not in your packet.
So he would be Energy Committee, not public.
Correct.
Right.
But I will include all of that in the November 17th packet and use the chance to have a little public service announcement that anyone who wants to serve on the Public Works Building Committee is encouraged to submit an application that is available on the town's website to my email address.
Phil, may I suggest that you tell them where it can be found on the website, because when I went looking for one once, it was quite a search.
Yeah,
I think it's under town manager.
Yep, it's under the town manager page, but it's right now it's right on the front page on the, it's one of the first items on the front page. It says volunteers being sought for committee.
Okay.
Thank you.
We don't want volunteers to have to go through too much work to get it right.
Right.
For sure.
We're going to non-public.
Yeah.
I guess we are.
Let's adjourn the public meeting.
Would you like to motion to adjourn the public meeting?
I read the announcement.
Thank you. We will be going into non-public session pursuant to RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, small d, which reads, consideration of the acquisition, sale, or lease of real or personal property, which, if discussed in public, would likely benefit a party or parties whose interests are adverse to those of the general community.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now we can do it.